Ladies and gentlemen, make him feel welcome back to McCook again this evening, Mr. Bil Lepp. Bill?
And it's just nice to, as a performer, as a storyteller, I get hired to do dinners. I have to, some local bank will call me to come and do their Thanksgiving banquet. And you get there and they don't really care that you're there and you're not part of that community. And, I've been to dinners where I've sat all by myself while everyone else was eating dinner. And, it's kind of lonely, and you're sort of you're there to serve a function. You're there for the same reason that the podium is there. You just have a function to fill, and then we'll give you a check, and you can go, and we'll never think about you again. But here, it's really welcoming. I mean, I feel like even the first time that I came here, the moment I got here, people knew who I was. They appreciated that I was here. They wanted to hear what I had to say. They wanted to share their stories with me.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to introduce my good friend Dovie. I asked her if she had anything she wanted me to say, and she just gave me, these 12 pages. And I skimmed them and decided that, just below the diagram on page 8 would be a good place to start.
That woman they call the rock dweller, she was a Minikanju who married Anaglala, who had long been wanting her. She did not want him. But these were hungry times, and so her relatives, they gave her to him, though it was her decision, not theirs. These were hungry times, and they gave her to him for the price of food and gifts that he gave. Storytelling is what it is and what you wish it to be in your community. Not every place realizes that. I think a huge part of my work and my approach to story is that I'm constantly learning. And I like to be outclassed in a place. I like to go someplace where there's folks better than me, who know more than me, where my mistakes will get caught, where I can be gently corrected. But then traditionally that's how I was raised in my culture too. And so it had that whole feeling, that of a community that knows itself, that is serving its community. Because, again, culturally, I believe of stories as, having a phenomenal essential social role, and that communities serve and stories serve the community, and that storytellers are not artists, but they're working in service.
My buddy Skeeter and I decided to go bear hunting. We were going to go black bear hunting. And in West Virginia, the black bear season is in December, and it's cold. So we found out that in Montana, the black bear season is in May. So we thought it would be warm, but we were wrong. But we decided to go black bear hunting out in Montana. We were going to a place called Seeley Lake in Flathead County, Montana. And we drove across the country from Morgantown, West Virginia, all the way to Montana, 2/3 the way across the country, most of it on the interstate. Didn't have any trouble all the way across the country. Then when we got up into Montana, we had to get off the interstate onto a little 2-lane highway. We had maybe, 60 miles to go to get where we were going. And while we were on that road, a 50-foot RV materialized on the back bumper of the minivan that we were in. And the RV, apparently those guys wanted to pass us and head on down the road. But it wasn't the sort of road that was designed for an RV to pass a minivan. And the 3 guys in that minivan thought that it was our fault. And each one of them was leaned out a different window of the RV. They were all screaming things at us. Now, they only knew 3 words, but they could use those words in sort of a tonal swear language. They were getting their message across with various hand gestures to go along with it. And Skeeter was driving. He said, man, those guys, they're driving that thing like a summer assault vehicle. And finally, there was a wide spot in the road, and they shot out from behind us and tore off down the highway. And then for the next 40 miles, I had to listen to Skeeter. Maybe you've been in this position yourself, but I had to listen to him. He just hunched over the wheel and raved, if I ever see those guys again, what I should have done, if I ever get the chance, why I'm gonna. Finally, we got to the campground. I was never so happy to get anywhere in my life. We checked in. They assigned us our campsite. We went on over. We started to unload the van. And I looked across the campground, and lo and behold, on the other side of that campground was that 50-foot RV with them 3 fellas still speaking their 3-word tonal swear language, only now they had a cooler out, and they were about a quarter way through that cooler. Well, I didn't say nothing, because I just listened to Skeeter for 40 miles tell me what he was going to do the moment he saw those guys again. I wanted to see what was going to happen. Skeeter didn't even notice him. We just kept unpacking. We set up our campsite. We started cooking supper. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I nudged Skeeter. I said, Skeeter, aren't you going to go cause those fellows some trouble? And he looked at them, and he looked at me. And he said, Bill, I want you to take a good look at those fellas. He said, those look like the sort of fellas that can cause themselves trouble.
She laid the baby down and was preparing to lay down beside the baby when again she heard a shout, a scream, a cry, a moan, a wail, children crying for mothers, men crying for wives. Now she touched her mother. She said, it is spirits. We are in danger. This baby's family, those who died, I think they come for my child. And her mother said, shh. You are surrounded by the circle of your family. There is no danger can touch you here. But she took out those sweet plants we burn for prayers. And then she said, daughter, sleep. This baby won't be this good tomorrow. The old woman was back to sleep. The girl, believing her mother, curled around the child. And then she heard a scream, a moan, a cry, a shout. More terrifying than before, because now she could see all of these voices were coming out of the mouth of the baby. Now she touched her mother, and her eyes were huge with fear. Her mother looked at her and saw her face and looked down at the babe and heard the voices herself. She knelt beside her daughter, pulling her away from the baby. She said, that is no baby. That is our enemy. That is Ea, the camp swallower, that one whose belly is so huge he can swallow a whole village of people. His face, jaws so enormous he can suck them in with a backward sucking wind. Had you but slept, he would have taken his own terrible shape. We must be away. Again, she sent out runners now, telling the people to run to the breaks, to cross the water. Ea would not be able to follow them, for his body is carried on spindly legs and can scarce hold his weight. Often he falls to the earth, which trembles violently each time he falls. The girl could not believe there was danger in such a thing. So her mother dragged her into the night, dragged her out as the people ran toward the river. Now those 4 men who had carried the baby into the village stood there. Already they had said goodbye to their relatives. They would deal with this thing they had done. They would take responsibility for bringing such a thing in to threaten the people. The one man looked at his 3 brothers and said, I did this to save a child, but I did this so others would think well of me. You care for my children and my family. I fear I will not see you after this night. I will take responsibility for this thing I have done. And he embraced his brothers.
I get to see an immediate reaction to the stories that I have worked hard to create, with the hopes that people will react to them in the way that they are. So I just like to take my stories on the road and see how people feel about it.
I'm standing between the river and Muscatine. I'm thinking on that water washing me clean on the banks of Muscatine. Even though the bottom you can hardly even see, did I come to this old river, or did it come to me? Well, I come to the river going back and forth. Comes and it goes, it's always changing course. There's something kind of steady about all that change. Well, I come to the river going up and down. Nothing else to do in this tugboat town than watch the river fill with rain. And I watch it grow